There is a sleep that is far deeper and more dangerous than the physical sleep you enter at night. It is the sleep of the spirit. It is a hypnotic state where a man or a woman walks through their entire life believing that they are a victim of circumstance, believing that the world is something happening to them rather than something coming from them. You clicked on this video today not by accident, but because a part of you is stirring in its sleep. A part of you, perhaps buried deep beneath layers of doubt and conditioning, knows that the life you are currently living is not the life you were designed to live. You look at the world around you with its economy, its politics, its wars, and its social structures, and it all seems so solid, so independent of you, so immovably fixed. You have been taught from the moment you could speak that you are a tiny, insignificant speck in a vast, indifferent universe, and that your only job is to survive, to adapt, and to hope for the best. But I am here to tell you that this is the greatest lie ever told. It is the illusion that keeps humanity in chains. The truth, the radical and terrifying truth that we are going to explore today, is that there is no world outside of you. Before you were born into this physical body, you existed as pure, unconditioned imagination. And when this body returns to the dust, you will return to that same state. But right now, in this very moment, you are imagination wearing flesh. You are the creative power of the universe in disguise, pretending to be limited, pretending to be small, so that you can experience the thrill of awakening to your own power. You must understand why you have failed in the past. You have tried affirmations. You have visualized until your head hurt. You have set intentions, made vision boards, and repeated mantras until your voice gave out. And yet, the same patterns return. The same lack of money returns. The same heartbreak returns. The same feeling of being trapped behind a glass wall, watching others live their dreams returns. Why does this happen? It happens because you are trying to change the world without changing the self. You are trying to change the reflection in the mirror without changing the face you are presenting to it. Imagine for a moment that you are standing before a massive, flawless mirror. This mirror represents the external world. If you look into this mirror and your face is twisted in anger, the reflection will look back at you with anger. If you are weeping in despair, the reflection will weep. Now imagine you do not like the reflection, you want it to smile. So you reach out your hands and you try to force the mouth of the reflection into a smile. You scrub at the glass. You yell at the image. You beg it to change, but the mirror is cold and unresponsive. It creates nothing. It only reflects. This is exactly what you are doing when you struggle against your circumstances. You are fighting the reflection. You are battling your bank account. You are arguing with your boss. You are trying to manipulate people to love you, and it is exhausting because it is impossible. The mirror has no choice. The world has no choice. It must reflect what you are conscious of being. This is the core of the Great Awakening. You must realize that the world is not happening to you. It is happening from you. Every person you meet, every event you encounter, every opportunity that opens or closes is your own consciousness pushed out into form. This concept is challenging because it destroys the comfort of blame. As long as you believe the world is external, you can blame the economy for your poverty. You can blame your parents for your insecurity. You can blame your ex-partner for your unhappiness. It feels safe to be a victim because victims do not have to be responsible, but victims also have no power. Let me share a story to illustrate this profound truth. Consider a man named Thomas. Thomas is a good man, hardworking and honest, but he walks through life with a deep-seated assumption that the world is a difficult place. He wakes up every morning with a subtle feeling of dread, a tightness in his chest that says, life is a struggle. He gets in his car and assumes there will be traffic, and there is. He arrives at work assuming his boss will not appreciate his efforts, and his boss ignores him. He goes home assuming that he is too tired to connect with his family, and he finds distance and coldness in his home. Thomas believes he is reacting to a harsh world. He says, look at the traffic. Look at my ungrateful boss. Look at my cold family. But he does not see that he is the projector. He is walking through a movie that he is writing in real time with his own feelings. The world is simply confirming his assumption that life is hard. Now consider a woman named Sarah. Sarah lives in the same city, works in the same industry, and faces the same economic climate as Thomas, but Sarah moves through the world with a different assumption. She assumes that she is lucky. She assumes that people are generally kind and helpful. She assumes that things always work out for her in the end. When she hits traffic, she assumes it is saving her from an accident further up the road, and she arrives calm and safe. When she walks into work, she carries an air of expectancy and value, and her colleagues are drawn to her. She is not creating these things by magic. She's creating them by law. The mirror of reality is reflecting her internal state of ease just as perfectly as it reflects Thomas's internal state of struggle. The tragedy of human life is that we are creating every moment of every day, but we are doing it unconsciously. You are a creator who has forgotten your own machinery. You are like a master carpenter who has fallen asleep at the workbench, and in your nightmares, your hands are still moving, building cages and traps that you will wake up and step into. The Great Awakening is the moment you stop building cages. It is the moment you look at the debt, the illness, or the loneliness, and instead of reacting with fear, you stop and say, I did this. I created this script with my past thoughts and feelings, and if I created this, I can uncreate it. This is not about guilt. Guilt is just another form of the victim mindset. This is about responsibility, which literally means the ability to respond. When you realize that consciousness is the only reality, you stop begging God or the universe to change your life. You realize that God is not an external ruler, but the very power of awareness within you. You are the operant power. The ancient scriptures tell us to be still and know that I am God. This is not blasphemy. This is identity. It means that your I am, your sense of existing, your awareness, is the fundamental substance of the universe. We are going to move into the practical application of this law in the later parts of this lecture, but you cannot use the techniques effectively until you accept this new identity. You must stop identifying with the reflection. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your current bank balance. Those are just the dusty remnants of old assumptions. You are the consciousness that can choose a new state right now. You are the author holding the pen, realizing that you can turn the page and start a new chapter instantly. The world is a stage, and you are the actor, the director, and the writer all at once. Up until now, you have been playing a character that was handed to you by your parents, your teachers, and your society. You have memorized lines of limitation and rehearsed scenes of failure. You have played the role of the struggling student, the underpaid employee, or the unloved partner so well that you forgot it was just a role. But the curtain is rising on a new act. The Great Awakening is your permission slip to throw away the old script. It is the realization that no external power can stop you because there is no external power. There is only you and your imagination. As we proceed, I want you to hold this feeling of power. It might feel uncomfortable at first. It might feel too big. Your rational mind will fight it. Your senses will look around the room and say, this is real. This table is solid. My problems are real. But remember that the table, the room, and the problems are all molecular structures held together by energy, and that energy is shaped by consciousness. Change the consciousness, and the structure must change. It is scientific fact and spiritual law combined. You are standing on the precipice of a new life, but you cannot take your old victimhood with you. You must leave the old man and the old woman behind. You must step into the fire of self-responsibility and burn away everything that is not true to your desired self. So, are you ready to wake up? Are you ready to stop fighting the mirror? Are you ready to take dominion over your own mind? Because the moment you do, the moment you truly accept that you are the cause of your reality, the bridge of incidents will begin to appear, the means will develop, the way will open. Not because you forced it, but because you assumed it. Let us now journey deeper into the mechanics of how this creation actually works, and how you can begin to bend reality to your will using the law of assumption. Now that you have awakened to the truth that you are the operant power, and that the world is merely a mirror, we must understand the machinery of creation itself. We must move from the general philosophy to the specific mechanics of how your reality is structured and how you can intervene in the process. To do this, I want you to step away from the metaphor of the mirror for a moment and step into the metaphor of the cinema. Imagine your life as a grand, immersive movie theater. You are sitting in the audience watching the screen, and on that screen you see the drama of your life unfolding. You see your financial struggles, your relationships, your health, and your daily interactions. This screen is gigantic, vibrant, and incredibly convincing. It surrounds you with sound and color, and because it is so overwhelming, you make the fatal mistake that almost every human being makes. You believe that the screen is the reality. You believe that the movie is happening to you. When a sad scene plays, you cry. When a frightening scene plays, you shrink back in fear. You react to the screen, and in your reaction, you become a slave to the images flickering before you. But let us look back. High above the audience, in the back of the theater, there is a projection booth, and in that booth there is a light. That light is your consciousness. It is constant, pure, and unwavering. However, the light cannot create an image on its own. To put an image on the screen, the light must pass through a film strip. That film strip is your state of mind. It is the collection of your beliefs, your concepts of self, and most importantly, your assumptions. The light of your consciousness shines through the film of your assumptions and projects the image onto the screen of space and time. This is the crucial point you must grasp. The screen can only display what is on the film. The screen has no power of its own. It cannot decide to change the movie. It cannot decide to turn a tragedy into a comedy. It creates nothing. It simply reflects the film strip frame by frame. Most people spend their entire lives running up to the screen and screaming at it. You try to change your life by manipulating the external world. You work harder to change the number in your bank account. You argue to change your partner's behavior. You diet and exercise frantically to change your body while hating the body you are in. This is like trying to scrub the actors off the movie screen with a cloth. It is futile. You might smudge the screen for a moment. You might create a temporary disturbance, but as long as the film strip in the projector remains the same, the picture will inevitably return to its original form. You will pay off the debt, but because the film strip says I am poor, a new emergency will arise to drain your account again. You will leave the bad relationship, but because the film strip says I am unlovable, you will find a new partner who treats you exactly the same way. The patterns repeat, not because the world is cruel, but because you have not changed the film. This brings us to the law of assumption. This law states that your assumptions, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Read that again in your mind. An assumption is something you accept as true without proof. The world tells you that you must see it to believe it. The law tells you that you must believe it to see it. Creation does not wait for readiness, and it does not wait for worthiness. Creation waits for assumption. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the moment you decide that you are already the person you want to be, you have changed the film strip in the projector. You have placed a new slide in front of the light. Now, here is the challenge. There is a time lag. In the physical world, things move slowly. When you change the film in the projector, the screen may not change instantly. You might walk out of this lecture, assume you are wealthy, and then open your mailbox to find a bill. The senses will scream at you. Your rational mind, which is the great deceiver, will say, look at this bill, and you are deluding yourself. This is the moment where the dream dies for most people. They look at the screen, see the old movie still playing, and they tear out the new film strip and put the old one back in. They say it didn't work, and they return to their sleep. You must understand that the 3D world is simply the echo of your past thoughts. The bill in your hand is a result of who you were yesterday, last month, or last year. It is dead energy. It is a footprint left by a man who has already moved on. Why would you be afraid of a footprint? Why would you be afraid of a shadow? To master the law of assumption, you must learn to ignore the evidence of your senses. This is the most difficult discipline of all. You must deny the report of your eyes and ears and hold fast to the report of your imagination. You must stand in the projection booth and refuse to look at the screen if the screen contradicts your desire. You must dare to assume you are the man or woman you wish to be, even when your pockets are empty, even when the doctor's report is bad, even when you are alone. You are not denying the physical facts. You are denying their finality. You are denying their authority over you. You are saying to the world that this is what I see, but I know what I have done in my imagination, and my imagination is the true reality that will overlay this temporary illusion. This requires a shift in how you use your mind. You must move from thinking of the end to thinking from the end. There is a massive difference. When you think of the end, you are looking at your goal as something separate from you. You are like a child looking through a shop window at a toy. You see it, you want it, you hope for it, but you are separated from it by the glass. This creates a state of lack. You are affirming, I do not have it. But when you think from the end, you are no longer looking through the glass, you are holding the toy. You are looking out at the world from the perspective of the person who already possesses the desire. Let me give you a concrete example to anchor this. Imagine you want a promotion at work. If you think of the promotion, you might visualize your boss offering it to you, or you might worry about whether you are qualified. You are anxious, you are hoping. This is thinking of the desire. Now let us shift. If you were already promoted, how would you feel right now? You would not be anxious about getting the promotion because you already have it. You would feel a quiet sense of satisfaction. You might feel a heavier responsibility. You might feel a sense of relief that your income has increased. You would walk into your office differently. You would speak to your colleagues differently. You would not be trying to impress them. You would be operating from a place of established authority, that is, thinking from the end. You are viewing the world through the eyes of the promoted version of yourself. You must become a method actor in your own life. The great actors do not just read lines, they become the character. They adopt the posture, the breathing, the thoughts, and the feelings of the character until the actor disappears and only the character remains. You must do this with your ideal self. You must put on the body of your wish fulfilled. You must wear the feeling of your desire like a suit of clothes. At first, it may feel strange. It may feel like a costume that doesn't fit quite right. You might feel like an imposter. That is normal. Keep wearing it. Keep assuming it. Walk in the assumption. Sleep in the assumption. Eat and drink in the assumption. Eventually, the suit will fit. Eventually, the feeling will become natural. And the moment the feeling becomes natural, the moment you no longer feel excited but simply relieved and normal, the picture on the screen will change. This is the secret that the mystics have whispered for ages. The universe creates what is natural to you. As long as wealth feels like a distant miracle, you will stay poor. As long as love feels like a fantasy, you will stay lonely. You must make the impossible feel natural through the power of your own inner cinema. You must play the scene of fulfillment in your mind over and over until it has the tones of reality. You must saturate your mind with the feeling of the end until your subconscious accepts it as a fact. Remember that your subconscious mind is the builder of your body and your world, but it is impersonal. It does not judge. It does not know the difference between a physical fact and an imagined fact. If you vividly imagine biting into a lemon, your mouth will water. Your body reacts to the imagination as if it were reality. If you vividly imagine a conflict, your heart will race and your cortisol levels will spike. Your body does not know the conflict is not real. You can use this mechanism to your advantage. If you vividly imagine success and feel the reality of it, your subconscious will begin to reorganize your entire world to match that feeling. It will compel you to take the right actions. It will draw the right people into your orbit. It will create coincidences that look like miracles to the unawakened eye. So tonight I want you to look at your life not as a fixed stone, but as a movie that is currently playing. You are the writer, the director, and the star. If you do not like the scene you are in, do not fight the actors. Do not burn down the set. Go back to the projection booth. Go into the silence of your own mind. Change the film. Assume a new state. Dare to claim I am that which I wish to be. Refuse to accept any other possibility. The world is fluid. It is malleable. It is waiting for your command. But the command is not a word you speak. The command is the state you occupy. Stand firm in your new assumption. Ignore the delay of the screen and watch as the great cinema of life dissolves and reforms into the masterpiece you were destined to create. We have spoken of the mirror of reality and we have spoken of the cinema of the mind, but now we must address the invisible activity that is taking place within you at every single moment of your waking life. This is the engine room of creation. This is where the film strip is actually manufactured. Many people believe that the law of assumption is something you practice for 10 or 20 minutes a day. They think they can go into their meditation, visualize their desire, feel the wish fulfilled, and then come out of that meditation and spend the remaining 15 hours of the day worrying, complaining, and arguing. They treat their imagination like a Sunday church service, visiting it once a week or once a day while living like a sinner the rest of the time. This is why they fail. This is why their prayers are not answered. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot spend 10 minutes assuming you are wealthy and 15 hours mentally complaining about the price of gas. We must talk about your inner speech. Listen to yourself right now. Even as you listen to my voice, there is another voice running in the background of your mind. It is commenting, it is judging, it is agreeing or disagreeing. It is drifting to what you will have for dinner or what someone said to you yesterday. This inner conversation never stops. It is the most creative force in the universe. It is the Word of God moving through you. We are told that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is not just history, this is anatomy. Your inner speech is the Word, and what you are saying to yourself internally, often below the threshold of your conscious awareness, is crystallizing into the events of your life. This brings us to the concept of the mental diet. If you wanted to build a healthy, strong, and vital physical body, you would be very careful about what you fed it. You would not go to a garbage can, dig out rotting food, and eat it. You would know that poison in the stomach leads to sickness in the body. Yet, look at how you treat your mind. Most people are mentally eating out of the gutter. They wake up and immediately feed their minds with the doom and gloom of the news. They feast on the gossip of their co-workers. They chew on the bitterness of past arguments. They swallow the fear of the future. They consume a steady diet of negativity, lack, and limitation, and then they wonder why their lives are sick. They wonder why their relationships are toxic and their bank accounts are malnourished. You are what you eat mentally just as much as you are what you eat physically. Every time you engage in a negative inner conversation, you are signing a contract with that reality. You are paying for it with the currency of your attention. Consider the man who feels treated unfairly at work. He drives to the office, and in his mind he is already having an argument with his boss. He is rehearsing what he will say. He is hearing the boss's unfair criticism. He is feeling the anger rise in his chest. He defends himself in the silent court of his mind. He wins the argument in his head. But what has he actually done? He has just invested his creative power into the state of conflict. He has planted the seeds of disrespect. When he arrives at work, he will inevitably encounter the very conflict he rehearsed. His boss will be difficult, or a co-worker will be rude, and the man will say, "I knew it," but he did not know it. He created it. He wrote the script on his commute, and then acted it out upon arrival. This is the great tragedy of the unconscious life. We are constantly arguing with people who are not there. We are constantly defending ourselves against accusations that have not been made. We are constantly justifying our failures before we have even failed. Stop it. You must become a disciplinarian of your own mind. You must stand guard at the door of your consciousness and inspect every thought that tries to enter. If a thought comes to you that suggests failure, that suggests you are not good enough, that suggests fear, you must turn it away. You do not fight it with violence, you replace it with truth. You must learn to invest your thoughts rather than spend them. Spending a thought is wasting it on negativity that produces no return. Investing a thought is consciously choosing an inner conversation that aligns with your desired end. Let us look at how this applies to your specific desires. If your goal is financial freedom, what is your inner speech? Are you walking through the store looking at prices and mentally saying, "I can't afford this," or "This is too expensive," or "Why is everything so hard?" That inner speech is a command to your subconscious to keep you poor. It confirms the state of lack. You must change the diet. You must begin to speak to yourself as the person who has abundance. I do not mean you should delusionally spend money you do not have. I mean you must change the internal commentary. Instead of saying, "I can't afford it," say, "Isn't it wonderful that there is so much abundance in the world?" Instead of feeling a contraction when you pay a bill, say, "Thank you for the service this money provided, and thank you for the supply that replenishes it." You must match the tone of your inner conversations to the tone of your fulfilled desire. This practice requires a level of vigilance that few people are willing to cultivate, but the rewards are infinite. You must catch yourself in the act. When you catch yourself starting a mental argument with your partner, stop, freeze the frame. Ask yourself if this conversation is serving the relationship you want. If not, rewrite it instantly. In your mind, hear your partner saying the most loving, supportive things to you. Hear yourself responding with kindness and gratitude. Do this until you feel the tension leave your body. You have just rewritten the future. You have just prevented a conflict from manifesting and instead planted a seed of harmony. The world has no choice but to reflect this change in your inner speech. It might not happen in 5 minutes, but the mood you carry, which is the result of your inner speech, dictates the atmosphere of your life. There is a profound technique involving inner talking that acts as a telephone to the future. Imagine you are holding a telephone. On the other end of the line is a friend or a loved one. Hear their voice in your mind. Hear them congratulating you on your success. If you want to be married, hear your friends saying, "I'm so happy for you. You look so beautiful together." Hear their tone of excitement. Then hear yourself answering. Hear yourself saying, "Thank you. I have never been happier. It is wonderful." Keep this conversation short and loop it. Do not just think the words, hear the tones of reality. This is not a daydream. This is a creative act. When you do this, you are effectively eavesdropping on your future. You are pulling the reality of that conversation into the present moment. The discipline of inner speech is the highest form of self-love. When you love yourself, you do not allow yourself to abuse yourself mentally. Most people are their own worst abusers. They say things to themselves that they would never tolerate from a stranger. They call themselves stupid, lazy failures. This is a desecration of the temple of God. You are the temple. Your consciousness is the presence of the divine. When you insult yourself, you are insulting the creative power that gives you life. You must go on a strict mental diet of nobility. As the scripture says, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. This is not just moral advice. It is a formula for manifestation. If you can change your inner speech, you will change your outer world. It is impossible for it not to change because the outer world is only the echo of the inner voice. Test this. For the next 24 hours, try an experiment. Commit to a total fast from negativity. Do not allow yourself to dwell on a single negative thought or complaint. If a negative thought comes, do not condemn yourself, but immediately flip it. If the thought comes that says, "I am going to be late," immediately switch it to, "I am always on time and everything is working out for me." If the thought comes that says, "I am lonely," immediately switch it to, "I am surrounded by love and I am complete." Watch how your energy shifts. Watch how the people around you respond to you differently. Watch how the obstacles that seem so solid begin to melt away. This is a discipline, and like any muscle, it grows stronger with exercise. At first, your mind will be like a wild horse, bucking and kicking, wanting to return to the old habits of complaining and arguing. It is addicted to the drama. It is addicted to the chemical rush of cortisol and stress. You must be the rider. You must gently but firmly guide the horse back to the path. You do not need to scream at the mind. You just need to be persistent. Return to the wish fulfilled. Return to the noble thought. Return to the inner conversation of success. Eventually the mind will submit. Eventually the new way of thinking will become habitual. And when positive, constructive inner speech becomes your habit, success becomes your destiny. You are creating your atmosphere with every word you speak silently. You are either polluting your world or purifying it. The mental diet is the key to sustaining the state of the wish fulfilled. It is easy to feel rich for 10 minutes in meditation, but can you keep the feeling of wealth when the bills arrive? Can you keep the feeling of health when the pain flares up? Can you keep the feeling of love when the text doesn't come? Your inner speech is the tool that bridges the gap. It is the anchor that holds you in the state until the physical world conforms. So today, make a covenant with yourself. Decide that you will no longer be a dumping ground for the world's negativity. Decide that you will be a careful gardener of your own soul, pulling the weeds of negative inner talking and planting the flowers of loving, noble, and empowered speech. Your life is the harvest of your inner conversations. Choose your words wisely, for they are the bricks with which you build your house. Before we move on to the next powerful tool, a tool that allows you to literally rewrite your past and erase trauma, I want to ask you a question. Are you committed to this path? Listening to these truths is one thing, but applying them is a discipline. We are building a community here of conscious creators who are tired of being victims and are ready to be masters. If you are serious about waking up, if you are serious about taking control of your reality, then make a commitment right now. Click the subscribe button below. Turn on the notification bell. By doing so, you are not just supporting a channel, you are signaling to your own subconscious that you are prioritizing your spiritual growth. You are saying, I am ready for more. Join us. Do not let the world put you back to sleep. Now, let us discuss the pruning shears of revision, the technique that will free you from the chains of yesterday. We have spoken of how to control your thoughts in the present moment through mental diets, but we must now address the heavy burden that almost every human being carries. I am speaking of most of you are walking through life dragging a sack of heavy stones behind you. These stones are the memories of your failures, the sting of old rejections, the trauma of childhood, the arguments you cannot undo, and the opportunities you believe you missed. You look at these stones and you say that this is who I am. You say that because this happened to me 10 years ago, I am broken today. Because I failed in that business, I am a failure now. You treat the past as if it were a statue made of granite, fixed, unchangeable, and eternal. You believe that what is done and cannot be undone. But I am here to offer you the most radical, the most forgiving, and the most powerful tool in the entire arsenal of creation. It is the art of revision. You must understand something profound about the nature of time. To the awakening mind, time is not a straight line where the past is dead and the future is waiting to be born. Time is a curve. It is a circle. In the realm of consciousness, everything is happening in the eternal now. The past does not exist anywhere in the physical world. You cannot go to a museum and point to the year 1995. The past exists only in one place. It exists in your imagination. It exists as a memory. And what is a memory? A memory is an image that you call up in the present moment and energize with your feeling. Every time you recall a trauma, every time you replay a bitter argument, you are not just remembering history, you are recreating it. You are pulling that dead energy into the present, breathing life into it, and letting it impress your subconscious mind all over again. If you remember being rejected, and you feel the shame of it now, you are literally planting the seed of rejection for your tomorrow. You are keeping the infection alive in your bloodstream. You are telling the universe that this is still your reality. This is why people repeat the same patterns for decades. They are trapped in a loop of recreating the past because they believe they are helpless to change it. But you are not helpless. You are the operant power. If the past exists only in imagination, and if imagination is the true reality, then you can change the past. This is what I call the pruning shears of revision. Imagine your life as a garden. As you walk through your day, weeds will inevitably grow. Someone will be rude to you. You will receive a disappointing email. You will make a mistake. These are the weeds. If you leave them alone, if you go to sleep feeling frustrated and defeated, those weeds will take root. By morning, they will have dropped seeds into your subconscious, and they will grow into a jungle of obstacles in your future. Revision is the act of walking through your garden at the end of the day and cutting out the weeds before they can take root. Let me illustrate this with a story that will show you just how powerful this technique is. There was a woman who carried a burden of guilt for 20 years. 2 decades prior, she had a terrible argument with her mother. She was tired and stressed, and she spoke harsh, cruel words. She stormed out of the house. That night, her mother passed away. The last words her mother ever heard from her were words of anger. For 20 years, this woman was haunted. She could not forgive herself. She felt that the moment was locked in time, sealed by death, and utterly unchangeable. She came to understand this law, and she was told that she could revise the past. At first, she resisted. She said, "It is impossible because my mother is dead, and I cannot apologize." But she was desperate for peace, so she tried. Every night before she went to sleep, she went back in her imagination to that fatal night 20 years ago. She replayed the scene. But this time, she changed the script. In her imagination, she did not scream. Instead, she imagined herself taking her mother's hand. She imagined herself saying, "I'm sorry, I'm so tired, I love you." She imagined her mother smiling back at her and saying, "I know, I love you too." She imagined a hug. She imagined leaving the house in a state of peace and love. She did this night after night. She did not just visualize it, she felt the relief of it. She felt the texture of her mother's hand. She felt the release of the guilt. She replaced the memory of war with a memory of peace. After 2 weeks of doing this, something miraculous happened. A relative she had not spoken to in years contacted her. This relative had been going through some old boxes and found a journal that belonged to the woman's mother. She sent it to her. The woman opened the journal and found an entry dated the very night of their argument. In the journal, her mother had written that she knew her daughter was stressed and tired, that she did not take the angry words to heart, and that she loved her daughter more than anything. The woman wept. The weight of 20 years vanished in an instant. Now, the rational mind will ask a question: did the journal entry always exist? Was it sitting in a box for 20 years waiting to be found? Or did her act of revision reach back into time and alter the past, causing the journal entry to manifest? I tell you, it does not matter. The result is the same. Her consciousness shifted from guilt to peace, and the universe rearranged itself past, present, and future to confirm that peace. By revising the past, she changed her timeline. She moved from a timeline where she was a guilty daughter to a timeline where she was a loved and forgiven daughter. You can do this. You must do this. If you do not prune the past, you will be choked by it. Here is how you apply the pruning shears effectively. At the end of every single day, before you begin your sleep programming, review the events of the day. Do not judge them. Do not beat yourself up. Just observe. Look at the morning. Did you get angry in traffic? Look at the afternoon. Did you feel small in a meeting? Look at the evening. Did you argue with your spouse? Wherever you see a scene that did not match your ideal, stop the film, rewind it, and now rewrite it. Imagine the traffic was smooth and you arrived calm. Imagine the meeting went perfectly and your ideas were applauded. Imagine your spouse spoke to you with kindness and you responded with love. Replay this new scene. Enter into it. Feel the satisfaction of it. Do it over and over until the feeling of the new scene replaces the feeling of the old one. You will know you have succeeded when you can look back at the event and feel no sting. The emotional charge will be gone. The memory will be neutralized. When you do this, you are effectively wiping the slate clean. You are changing the vibrational signal you are sending to the subconscious. You are refusing to let the sun go down on your wrath. Some of you might say that this feels like lying to yourself. You might say that you are delusional for pretending that a bad day was a good day. But I ask you, what is truth? Is truth the physical facts that pass away and turn to dust? Or is truth the eternal reality of your imagination? If you accept the bad day as final, you are lying to your potential. You are agreeing to be a victim. That is the real lie. Revision is the act of claiming your divine power to select the reality you prefer. You are the editor of your life movie. A good editor does not leave a bad scene in the final cut. He cuts it out and replaces it with a better take. Why would you leave a scene of failure in the movie of your life? Cut it out. When you practice revision daily, you stop carrying the baggage of yesterday into today. You wake up fresh. Your energy is clear. You are no longer reacting to old triggers because you have dismantled them. And the most beautiful thing is that the people in your world will change. The person who was rude to you yesterday will be pleasant today. Why? Because you revised them. You changed your concept of them in your mind. You stopped holding them in the state of rudeness and you placed them in the state of kindness. They have no choice but to reflect your new assumption. Everyone is you pushed out. When you change the memory of them, you change the version of them that you encounter. This tool is not just for recent events. You can go back to your childhood. You can revise the way your parents treated you. You can revise the financial struggles of your youth. You can revise the heartbreak of your first love. You do not have to spend years in therapy digging up the pain. You can simply go back, rewrite the scene, give yourself the love you needed, give yourself the security you needed, and feel it as real. By doing so, you heal the child within. You change the foundation of your personality. You stop being the person who was hurt and you become the person who was loved. This is the pruning process. It requires diligence. It requires the willingness to let go of your victim story. Many people love their victim story. They love to tell people how hard their life has been. They wear their scars like badges of honor. But if you want to be a conscious creator, if you want to bend reality to your will, you must give up the story of the victim. You must use the shears. You must be ruthless with the weeds of negativity. Do not let a single weed survive the night. As you clear the garden of your mind through revision, you create a fertile, clean soil. And in that clean soil, you can then plant the new seeds of your desires. This is what we will discuss next. But remember, you cannot plant a beautiful garden if the ground is choked with thorns. Use the shears, revise your day, revise your life, redeem your past. When you change the past, you change the trajectory of the future. You step off the wheel of repetition and you step onto the path of destiny. The power is in your hands. The pruning shears are waiting. Will you use them tonight, or will you let the weeds grow? The choice is yours, and the harvest will be yours as well. We have cleared the weeds of the past through revision, and we have disciplined our daily thoughts through mental diets. Now we arrive at the Holy of Holies. We arrive at the moment of conception. You can understand every philosophy I have shared so far. You can agree with every intellectual concept, but if you do not master this specific technique, you will remain a spectator of your own life rather than the master of it. Knowledge without application is dead. The power of the law of assumption is not in knowing that imagination creates reality. It is in the deliberate act of planting a seed in the subconscious mind and letting it grow. This brings us to the most critical time of your entire existence, which is the state akin to sleep. You must understand the architecture of your own mind to understand why this technique works. You possess two distinct minds, the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious mind is the gatekeeper. It is logical, analytical, and critical. It looks at your bank account and says you are poor. It looks at your medical report and says you are sick. It argues based on the evidence of the senses. The subconscious mind, however, is the creator. It is the womb of creation. It is totally impersonal and non-selective. It does not care if you are good or bad. It does not care if what you are impressing upon it is true or false. It simply takes whatever feeling you impress upon it and pushes it out into the world as an objective fact. The problem most people face is that their conscious mind is too active. You try to affirm wealth, but your conscious mind immediately screams that you have bills to pay. You try to affirm health, but the conscious mind points to the pain in your body. To plant the seed of your desire, you must bypass the gatekeeper. You must find a way to slip the wish fulfilled past the logical defenses of the waking mind and drop it directly into the fertile soil of the subconscious. Nature has provided you with a natural doorway to do this. It occurs every single night, just before you drift off to sleep. In that twilight state, when you are drowsy and your limbs feel heavy, your conscious mind is tired. It puts down its sword. It stops arguing. The door to the subconscious swings wide open. This is the moment of power. This is the moment you must seize. Here is the precise step-by-step method to perform this miracle. Do not rush this. Do not treat it as a chore. Treat it as a sacred appointment with your future self. The first step is to define your objective. You must know exactly what you want. The subconscious hates vagueness. You cannot say, I want to be happy or I want to be successful, because those terms are too broad. You must condense your desire into a single, specific event that implies fulfillment. Note that I said implies fulfillment. You are not imagining the process. You are not imagining how you get the money or how you meet the love of your life. You are imagining an event that would only happen after your desire is already a fact. If your desire is a promotion, the event might be a colleague shaking your hand and saying congratulations. If your desire is a new car, the event might be the smell of the new leather and the feeling of the steering wheel in your hands. If your desire is to be married, the event might be feeling the weight of a wedding ring on your finger. Construct a scene that is short, simple, and implies that it is done. It should not be a long movie. It should be a tiny snippet of reality, lasting no more than 5 or 10 seconds. The shorter it is, the easier it is to control. The second step is to enter the state. Lie down on your bed, turn off the lights, close your eyes. I want you to induce a state of relaxation where you feel like you are floating. You can do this by imagining that your body is getting heavier and heavier, sinking into the mattress. You can count down from 20 to 1, feeling more relaxed with each number. You are not trying to fall asleep immediately. You are trying to reach the edge of sleep. You want to be in that space where you are still in control of your thoughts, but the physical world has faded away. This is the silence. This is the gap between the worlds. The third step is the most crucial, and it is where most people fail. You must bring your scene into your mind, but you must do it from the first-person perspective. You are not watching yourself on a screen. You are not seeing yourself over there shaking hands. You are seeing the colleague's face through your own eyes. You are seeing your own hands on the steering wheel. If you see yourself in the scene, you are stepping out of the reality and becoming an audience member. You must be the actor. You must occupy the body in the imagination. You must look out at the world from the wish fulfilled. Now, begin to loop the scene. Play that 5-second scene over and over again. Feel the hand shake yours. Hear the voice say congratulations. Then, immediately go back to the beginning and do it again. Shake the hand, hear the voice. Shake the hand. Hear the voice. Why do we loop it? Because repetition creates naturalness. The first time you do it, it might feel fake. The 10th time, it starts to feel familiar. The 50th time, it feels like a memory. You are crowding out the physical world with the imaginal world. You are making the inner reality more vivid than the outer reality. As you loop this scene, you must add the tones of reality. This is what brings the ghost to life. Engage your sensory imagination. What does the colleague's hand feel like? Is it warm? Is it firm? What does his voice sound like? Is there a smell of coffee in the air? The more sensory detail you add, the more your subconscious believes it is happening now. You are not visualizing, you are experiencing. You are hallucinating reality in a controlled way. You must persist in this loop until you feel a distinct shift in your mood. The feeling of trying will evaporate, and a feeling of relief will wash over you. It is the feeling of it is done. This feeling is not necessarily excitement. Excitement implies you are getting something you do not have. The true feeling of the wish fulfilled is relief. It is a deep, quiet satisfaction. It is the feeling you have when you finally get home after a long trip and sit in your favorite chair. You are not jumping up and down, you are just content. You know you are home. That is the feeling you are aiming for. That is the signal that the seed has been planted. The final step is to fall asleep in this state. Do not break the loop and then start thinking about your problems for tomorrow. Let the loop of the scene be the last thing in your consciousness as you cross the bridge into sleep. You want to carry this feeling across the threshold. If you fall asleep performing the action, you are effectively letting that action incubate in your subconscious for the next 8 hours. While your conscious mind is offline, your subconscious will be working feverishly to build the bridge of incidents. It will be arranging the coincidences, the meetings, and the circumstances necessary to bring that imaginal act into the physical world. Let me share a case study of a man who used this exact technique to manifest a seemingly impossible outcome. He was desperate for a specific job in a city thousands of miles away. He had no connections there, no money to move, and the interviews were closed. But he understood this law. Every night, he constructed a scene. He imagined he was in the apartment he wanted to live in that new city. He imagined he was sitting on the edge of the bed, untying his shoes after a long day at his new job. He could feel the laces in his fingers. He could hear the sounds of the city outside the window. He looped this simple action of untying his shoes over and over, feeling a sense of gratitude that he was finally there. He did not imagine getting the job letter. He imagined the end result of living there. He did this for weeks. One morning he woke up and felt a strange sense of peace. He knew it was done. 2 days later, a friend he hadn't spoken to in 5 years called him out of the blue. This friend happened to know the hiring manager at that specific company. A customized position was created for him, moving expenses were paid, and within a month he was sitting on the edge of his bed in that new city, untying his shoes, physically enacting the very scene he had lived in his imagination a month prior. He had bent reality to his will, not by force, but by the gentle, persistent impression of his subconscious mind. You might find that your mind wanders when you try this. That is normal. Your mind is like a puppy that hasn't been trained. When it wanders to your worries or your to-do list, do not get angry. Gently bring it back to the scene. Shake the hand again. Feel the ring again. Be patient with yourself. This is a mental muscle you are building. The more you practice, the easier it will become to focus. You might also find that you cannot visualize clearly. You might say, I cannot see pictures in my mind. That is fine. It is not about the visual clarity, it is about the feeling. If you cannot see the face, can you hear the voice? Can you feel the touch? Can you just feel the presence of the reality? Work with whatever sense is strongest for you. The feeling is the secret, not the picture. There is a warning I must give you. Do not do this technique to see if it works. Do it because you know it works. If you are doing it with the attitude of testing it, you are holding on to a core belief of doubt, and the subconscious will manifest that doubt. You must go all in. You must assume the state with the brazen impudence of someone who knows their power. You are not begging the universe for a favor. You are appropriating what is already yours. The creation is finished. All versions of your life already exist. You are simply using the sleep state to tune your radio to the station you want to hear. Tonight, you have an opportunity. You can go to sleep as the victim, replaying the hurts of the day, worrying about the bills of tomorrow, and ensuring that the same patterns repeat. Or you can enter the silence. You can step into the projection booth. You can choose the film. You can fall asleep in the assumption that you are already the person you dream of being. And as you sleep, the ancient, powerful forces of your own being will move heaven and earth to make it so. The technique is simple, but it requires discipline. It requires consistency. It requires you to be faithful to your unseen reality until it becomes seen. Enter the silence tonight, loop the scene, feel the relief, and let the deep sleep of creation do the rest. We have now traveled a great distance together. We have awakened to the truth that the world is a mirror. We have learned to operate the cinema of the mind. We have cleaned up our inner speech through mental diets. We have pruned the weeds of the past through revision. And finally, we have planted the seed of our desire in the fertile soil of the subconscious through the sleep state. You might think that the work is done. You might think that you can now sit back and wait for the miracle. But I must tell you that this is where the real work begins. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is the moment that separates the dreamers who merely hope from the creators who actually manifest. We are now facing the final challenge, and it requires a quality of spirit that I call brazen impudence. You have performed your imaginal act. You have fallen asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, but then the sun rises. You wake up in the same bed, in the same room, with the same bank balance and the same problems waiting for you. The physical world has not yet caught up to your imaginal act. This is the danger zone. This is the moment where 90% of people fail. They look at the external world, they see that nothing has changed instantly, and they say to themselves that it did not work. They allow the evidence of their senses to mock their assumption. They allow the cold, hard facts of the 3D reality to bully them back into submission. They tear up the seed they planted the night before to see if it has roots, and in doing so, they kill it. You must understand that there is a time lag in this physical dimension. When you plant a seed in the ground, it does not become a tree overnight. There is a gestation period. There is an interval of time between the impression of the subconscious and the expression in the physical world. During this interval, your senses will deny your desire. Your reason will tell you that you are a fool. Your friends and family might tell you to be realistic. This is where you must summon brazen impudence. This is not arrogance toward other people. It is a holy arrogance toward the limitations of the world. It is a spiritual stubbornness that refuses to take no for an answer. It is the ability to stand in the face of contradictory evidence and say that I do not care what the facts say. I know what I have imagined, and I know that my imagination is the true reality. Consider a man who has assumed the feeling of wealth. He has done the work. He feels rich in his imagination. But the next day he receives an urgent notice from the bank that his account is overdrawn. The average person would panic. They would spiral into fear. They would say that this law is a lie. But the man who possesses brazen impudence reacts differently. He looks at the bank notice and he remains unmoved. He does not deny the physical fact of the paper in his hand, but he denies its authority to define him. He says to himself that this is just an echo of my past poverty. This is just the old film strip finishing its reel. I have already changed the film. I have already seen the end. He pays the bill if he can, or he makes arrangements, but he does not let the fear enter his heart. He holds his head high. He walks with the dignity of a wealthy man who is temporarily embarrassed, not a poor man who is hopeless. He maintains the mood of the wish fulfilled despite the chaos of the moment. This is the test. The world will test you. It will ask you if you really believe in your assumption or if you are just playing a game. The moment you start looking for signs, the moment you start asking when it is coming, you have lost the state. Why? Because the man who has his desire does not look for it. If you have your car keys in your hand, you do not walk around the house looking for them. If you are happily married, you do not scan the room looking for a partner. Searching is a confession of lack. Waiting is a confession of lack. Brazen impudence is the refusal to wait. It is the audacity to claim that I am it now, regardless of what the mirror says. There is a profound paradox here that you must grasp. You are not ignoring the physical world to run away from responsibility. You are ignoring the physical world to change it. You are withdrawing your attention from the evidence of lack, because attention is the food that feeds reality. If you give your attention to the lack, you feed the lack and it grows. If you withdraw your attention from the lack and place it brazenly on your assumption of fulfillment, the lack starves and dies, and the fulfillment is fed and grows. You must be like a ship's captain in a storm. The waves are crashing, the wind is howling, but the captain keeps his eyes on the compass. He knows where he is going. He does not let the storm dictate his course. He dictates the course through the storm. Sometimes, when you assume a new state, things might actually seem to get worse before they get better. Do not be afraid of this. This is often the sign of the reconfiguration of reality. Imagine you decide to renovate your house. To build the beautiful new kitchen, you first have to tear down the old walls. There is dust, there is debris, there is chaos. If someone walked in during the demolition, they would say you have ruined the house. But you know that the chaos is necessary for the new structure to emerge. When your life seems to fall apart after you have assumed a new state, do not retreat. It is not falling apart, it is falling together. The old relationships that do not match your new self are leaving. The old job that does not match your new abundance is ending. Have the brazen impudence to stand in the rubble and see the palace. You must walk by faith, not by sight. Sight is cheap. Anyone can navigate by sight. Anyone can be happy when the sun is shining and the bank account is full. That requires no power. The true creator navigates by inner vision. You must carry the feeling of your wish fulfilled like a secret shield. When someone insults you, you do not react, because you know who you are. When a door slams in your face, you do not despair, because you know a bigger gate is opening. This inner conviction creates an atmosphere around you that the world must eventually obey. This is why I told you earlier to think from the end. The person who is brazenly impudent thinks from the end continuously. They do not visit the state of their wish fulfilled like a tourist. They live there. They occupy it. If you want to be a great writer, you do not wait for a publisher to tell you that you are a writer. You write today with the conviction of a master. You view your rejection slips with amusement because you know they are just part of the legend of your success story. You do not ask for permission to be great. You assume greatness and let the world catch up. The world is a mirror of your dominant state. If you are double-minded, if you waver between faith and doubt, the mirror will be cracked and distorted. Today you feel rich, tomorrow you worry about money. Today you feel loved, tomorrow you feel lonely. This wavering creates a confused reality. Brazen impudence is the cure for double-mindedness. It is the decision to burn the bridges behind you. It is the attitude that says, I have assumed this state, and I will die in this assumption before I accept anything less. And the funny thing is, when you have that level of conviction, you never have to die in the assumption. The world yields. It always yields to the mind that is made up. There is a story of a woman who wanted to travel the world, but she had no money and a low-paying job. She did her SATs, she revised her past, but every day she went to a job she hated. She decided to apply brazen impudence. She went to a luggage store and bought a high-quality suitcase. She packed it with her best clothes. She obtained a passport. She began to learn the language of the country she wanted to visit. She lived in the feeling of the traveler. Her co-workers laughed at her. Her family told her she was being irresponsible. She ignored them. She persisted in the assumption that she was leaving. One day, her company announced a merger and opened a branch in that very country. Because she was the only one who had a passport ready and knew the basics of the language, she was offered the transfer with a promotion. The world reshuffled itself to fit her brazen assumption. She did not wait for the opportunity to buy the suitcase. She bought the suitcase to summon the opportunity. You must be willing to look foolish to the world in order to be wise in the eyes of the law. You must be willing to bet everything on your imagination. This is the final challenge because it asks you to trust yourself more than you trust the government, the news, the experts, or your own senses. It asks you to dethrone the external world and place your own consciousness on the throne. So, as you go forward from this lecture, I charge you with this. When the doubt comes, and it will come, treat it as a lie. When the fear comes, treat it as a ghost. When the delay comes, treat it as a preparation. Do not lower your standard. Do not compromise your desire. Do not say, well, maybe I will settle for less. No, hold the line. Maintain the mood. Persist in the feeling. Be brazen. Be bold. Be impudent in your claim. Creation is finished. Your desire already exists. The only reason you do not see it yet is because you are not consistently looking at the world through the eyes of the person who has it. Put on those eyes and refuse to take them off. Wear the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it feels natural, until it feels ordinary, until it feels like you. And when you reach that state of naturalness, when you stop trying and start knowing, the walls of Jericho will come tumbling down. The resistance will vanish. The reflection in the mirror will smile back at you. This is the path of the awakened creator. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for the brave. It is for you. You have the tools. You have the knowledge. You have the power. Now, the only question that remains is, do you have the nerve? Do you have the brazen impudence to stand in the storm and command the peace? I believe you do. Now go out and prove it to yourself. We have arrived at the end of this broadcast, but in truth, we have only arrived at the beginning of your new life. Over the last hour, we have journeyed together through the landscape of the mind. We have dismantled the illusion that you are a victim of a cold, indifferent world. We have exposed the reality that the world is nothing more than a mirror, reflecting back to you the exact image of your own consciousness. We have handed you the tools of the trade. You now know how to operate the cinema of the mind. You know how to prune the weeds of the past with revision. You know how to starve negativity through a mental diet. And you know how to plant the seed of your desire in the deep silence of the sleep state. The map has been laid out before you. The keys to the kingdom have been placed in your hands. But a map cannot walk the path for you, and a key cannot turn itself. You are now standing at a crossroads. This is the most critical moment of our time together, because now you have a choice that you did not have an hour ago. Before this video, you could plead ignorance. You could say that you did not know you were the creator of your reality. You could comfortably blame your parents, your boss, the economy, or bad luck for your circumstances. Ignorance is a soft pillow, but it is a prison. Now, the ignorance is gone. You know the truth. You know that you are the operant power. You know that God is not a distant deity in the sky, but the I am within you, your own wonderful human imagination. Because you know this, you can no longer play the victim without lying to yourself. You have eaten from the tree of knowledge, and you can never go back to the sleep of the unconscious. This responsibility might feel heavy at first. It is a terrifying thing to realize that no one is coming to save you, because no one needs to save you. You are the savior you have been waiting for. You are the one who wrote the script of struggle, and you are the only one who can rewrite it into a script of triumph. But while this responsibility is heavy, it is also the only path to true freedom. If someone else caused your problems, then you would have to wait for someone else to solve them. But because you caused them, you can solve them. You can solve them tonight. You can solve them in the twinkling of an eye by shifting your state of consciousness. I want you to take a moment and feel the gravity of what we have discussed. This is not just positive thinking. This is not just a motivational speech to make you feel good for an hour. This is a revelation of the fundamental law of the universe. The same law that holds the stars in their courses, the same law that dictates the cycle of the seasons, is the law that governs your life. Consciousness is the only reality. What you feel to be true is true. If you leave this video and go back to your old way of thinking, if you go back to reacting to the news, arguing with your family in your mind, and falling asleep in a state of worry, you will prove the law just as perfectly as the man who uses it to become a king. The law works for everyone. It does not care if you use it to build a palace or a prison. It simply creates what you are. So I ask you, who are you going to be tonight? When you turn off this screen and the silence of your room returns, who will inhabit your body? Will it be the old man, the old woman, the one who is defined by the past, the one who is limited by the bank account, the one who is afraid of the future, or will it be the new you? The one who walks with brazen impudence? The one who knows that reality is malleable? The one who dares to assume the wish fulfilled before there is a single shred of evidence to support it? You must make a covenant with yourself right now. You must decide that you are done with the old story. You must decide that you are willing to die to your old self so that the new self can be born. The price of your new life is your old life. You cannot drag the old victimhood into the new creation. You must let it go. You must stop telling the stories of how you were wronged. You must stop rehearsing your limitations. You must stop identifying with the reflection in the mirror. You must break the mirror. Not physically, but psychologically. You must cease to respect the external world as a cause and see it only as an effect. This requires courage. It requires a warrior's spirit. But I know that spirit is within you because you are still here listening. The fact that you are still here tells me that you are ready. You are ready to stop begging for crumbs and start sitting at the banquet table that has been prepared for you since the foundation of the world. I want to give you a final charge, a mission to carry with you into the silence of the night. Tonight is not just another night. Tonight is the night of your resurrection. When you lay your head on the pillow, I want you to treat your bedroom as a sanctuary. Leave the problems of the world outside the door. Do not take your phone to bed. Do not take the news to bed. Do not take the arguments of the day to bed. Enter the state akin to sleep with reverence. You are entering the Holy of Holies. You are meeting with God. And God is your own imagination. In that sacred space, I want you to perform the technique we discussed. Bring the scene of your wish fulfilled before you. Feel the reality of it. Do not just see it, be it. Feel the handshake. Feel the ring. Feel the joy. Loop it over and over until you feel the relief of possession. And then trust. Trust is the final key. You do not need to wake up tomorrow and check the soil to see if the seed is sprouted. You do not need to dig it up to make sure it is growing. You have done your part. You have planted the seed. Now let the deeper, greater wisdom of your subconscious take over. Let it arrange the bridge of incidents. Let it move the people. Let it open the doors. You stand firm in the knowledge that it is done. As we close, I want to ask you to do something that will seal this covenant. I want you to declare your new state publicly. There is power in the written word. There is power in witnessing to your own transformation. Scroll down to the comment section right now. Do not just read what others have written. I want you to write your own I am statement. Tell the world, and more importantly, tell yourself who you are assuming to be. Write I am wealthy. Write I am healthy. Write I am loved. Write I am the creator of my reality. Whatever your desire is, claim it now. Do not write I want to be. Write IA. Stamp your new identity into this digital space as a testament to your awakening. When you write it, feel the truth of it. Let that comment be the first brick in the new house you are building. And look at the comments of others. See that you are not alone. There is a community of awakened creators rising up all over the world. We are waking up from the dream of separation. We are remembering who we are. Support each other. Encourage each other. When you see someone claiming their power, like their comment, affirm it with them. We are all reflections of the same one glorious consciousness. When you lift another up, you lift yourself up. If this message has served you, if it has sparked a light in the darkness of your mind, then I invite you to join us on this journey permanently. Subscribe to this channel. But do not just subscribe to watch videos. Subscribe to remind yourself of who you are. The world is noisy. It creates a constant storm of fear and distraction designed to put you back to sleep. You need a lighthouse. Let this channel be your lighthouse. Turn on the notifications so that every time a video appears, it serves as a bell ringing in the night, waking you up, reminding you to assume the state, reminding you to revise the day, reminding you that you are God in disguise. Do not let this feeling fade. The greatest danger you face is that you will feel inspired right now, but tomorrow morning the amnesia will return. You will forget. Do not let yourself forget. Make this a lifestyle. Make this your new religion. Not a religion of rituals and dogmas, but a religion of daily practice. The practice of controlling your inner speech, the practice of revising your past, the practice of living from the end. You are beautiful. You are powerful beyond measure. You are the dreamer and the dream combined. The world is waiting for you to give it shape. The clay is wet and sitting on the wheel, and your hands are the hands of the potter. What will you make? Will you make another vessel of sorrow, or will you make a masterpiece of joy? The choice is yours. The power is yours. The time is now. Go into the silence. Close your eyes to the world of shadows and open them to the world of light. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Sleep in that feeling. Wake in that conviction, and watch, just watch, as the mountains move and the seas part to make way for the reality you have chosen. It is done. It is finished. You are the creator. Now go and prove it to yourself. If this message served you tonight, if it sparked a light in your mind, do not leave this energy here. Like this video to seal your intention. Subscribe to this channel to stay awake in a world that wants you asleep. And share this with someone who needs to know their own power. Go now. Prove it to yourself. And remember, you are the operant power.